You're doing everything right, but you still feel like you're losing.
Maybe you even stopped ordering DoorDash. But every time you look at the math, the finish line keeps moving further away. Meanwhile, you log on to Twitter or YouTube and some 19-year-old is bragging about turning his stimulus check into $500,000 by trading a coin named after an internet frog. It makes you feel stupid. It makes you feel desperate. So you do what millions of Americans are doing right now. You look for the shortcut. You look for the lottery ticket. You scroll past the solid assets, the S&P 500s, the blue chip tech, the Bitcoin, because they're too expensive. You think, I only have $1,000. I can't afford a $70,000 asset. That's for rich people. Instead, you buy 3 million shares of absolute garbage just so you can feel like a whale. It's called unit bias. It is a psychological trap hardwired into human evolution, and Wall Street and crypto scammers are using it to legally steal your wealth. Today, we're going to break down the exact math of why chasing whole numbers is keeping you broke, and why accumulating just a fraction, the 0.1, is the only realistic escape hatch left for the American middle class. Let's talk about your brain. Your brain hates decimals. If I give you a choice between owning 0.015 of a gold bar or 10,000 shiny copper pennies, a primal part of you wants the pennies. It feels heavier. It feels like more. Let's apply this to the modern market. You have $2,000 to invest. You look at an asset priced at $80,000. Your calculator tells you that $2,000 gets you 0.025 of that asset. Looking at that number, 0.025 feels like a failure. It feels incomplete. It feels like you missed the boat. So you pivot. You find some obscure penny stock or meme token trading at 2 cents. You buy 100,000 of them. Suddenly, you're looking at a 6-figure number in your portfolio. You feel like a genius. But here is the brutal, unforgiving truth. 99% of those cheap assets are cheap for a reason. They are literal trash. When the market turns, they don't drop by 10%, they go to zero. You didn't buy a lottery ticket, you bought a front-row ticket to someone else's exit liquidity. Shift from psychology to macroeconomics. Explain why fiat money is melting and why scarce assets are the only defense. To understand why you need to completely rewire how you invest, you have to understand the invisible tax that is melting your paycheck. Let's talk about the money in your Chase or Bank of America savings account. You're probably earning what, 0.5%? Maybe a high-yield account gets you 4 or 5% if you're lucky? But what's the real inflation rate? Not the manipulated CPI numbers the government hands out, but your actual cost of living. Housing, healthcare, beef, used cars. It's closer to 8%, maybe 10%, depending on your zip code. If your money is sitting in cash, you are guaranteed to lose purchasing power. Period. It is a mathematical certainty. You are running on a treadmill that is slowly speeding up, and your legs are getting tired. This is where the elite completely detach from the middle class. The top 1% don't hold cash. They hold scarce assets, real estate, prime equities, hard digital assets, things that cannot be printed at will by a politician trying to win an election year. This brings us to the concept of the 0.1. Let's use Bitcoin as the ultimate example of absolute scarcity, but this applies to any hyper-scarce premium asset. There are 8 billion people on Earth. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. Millions of those are already lost forever on broken hard drives and landfills. If you divide the actual available supply by the global population, the average person can only ever mathematically own about 0.002 of a coin. Think about that. If you fight, scrape, and dollar-cost average your way to holding just 0.1 of a mathematically scarce asset, you possess 50 times more than the global average. You are front-running the rest of humanity. You don't need a whole one. You just need your slice of the life raft before the ship goes under. This is the emotional core, how getting off zero changes your behavior in real life.
But here is the craziest part about accumulating fractional assets. It's not about the dollar value. It's about what it does to your brain. The moment you get skin in the game, your entire relationship with money permanently fractures. Financial psychologists call it shifting from a high time preference to a low time preference. High time preference means you want the dopamine hit right now. You buy the $60,000 Ford F-150 on a 72-month loan at 8% interest because you want to look successful in traffic today. You buy the meme coin because you want a 100x return by Friday. Low time preference is the superpower of the wealthy. It's the ability to delay gratification for a massive asymmetric payoff a decade from now. Once you start stacking fractional hard assets, you start evaluating every purchase differently. You look at that $150 bar tab on a Saturday night, and your brain suddenly does the math. Wait, that $150 could buy me 0.002 of my asset. You start to realize that every dollar you spend on fleeting consumer garbage is a piece of your future freedom you are actively setting on fire. You stop trying to keep up with the Joneses, because the Joneses are drowning in $30,000 of credit card debt and financing a lifestyle they can't afford. You become immune to the hype. You aren't miserable, you're just awake. Now, let me tell you the part that the crypto influencers with the laser eyes won't tell you. Getting your point one is going to be painful. Let's say you commit right now. You set up a recurring buy, $100 every Friday. For the first 2 months, it feels great. You're building your stack. And then the market drops 40% in 3 weeks. You log in, and thousands of dollars of your hard-earned, blood, sweat, and tears money has just evaporated into the digital ether. You feel sick to your stomach. You lie awake at 2 a.m. wondering if you're a complete idiot. This is the filter. This is the great wall that separates the tourist from the resident. The tourist panic sells at the bottom, takes a massive loss, and goes back to putting their money in a savings account where inflation eats it alive. The resident understands that volatility is the toll you pay for performance. If you want an asset that outpaces the debasement of the US dollar, you have to eat the volatility. You don't look at the fiat price, you look at the asset amount. Did your fraction go down? No. Then you haven't lost anything. You zoom out, you close the app, and you let them. So, how do you actually execute this without losing your shirt or losing your mind? 3 steps. Step 1. Automate it. Dollar cost averaging, DCA, is the only strategy that works for normal people. Pick an amount that hurts just a tiny bit, $50 a week, $200 a week, whatever your budget allows. Set it up on a reputable platform with low fees. Not Robinhood, not the shady exchange based in the Bahamas. Automate it so the money leaves your account before you have a chance to spend it on Amazon. Step 2. Take self-custody. If you don't hold the keys to your digital assets, you don't own them. You own an IOU from an exchange. Ask the people who had their money on FTX how that worked out. Once you accumulate a meaningful chunk, buy a hardware wallet. Learn how to secure your own wealth. Take responsibility for your sovereignty. Step 3. Shut out the noise. Stop checking the price. Stop watching TikTokers shill garbage. The game isn't meant to be won in 3 weeks. It's meant to be won over a decade. 5 years from now, you are going to be 5 years older no matter what. That time is going to pass. You can either spend those 5 years chasing the next shiny object, trying to hit a lottery ticket and waking up in exactly the same financial hole you were in today. Or you can put your head down, ignore your primal urge for a big whole number, and methodically accumulate your point one. The middle class is being priced out of the future. The door is closing, but there is still a crack of light coming through. The question is, are you going to step through it, or are you going to keep standing outside complaining about the price of admission? Get off zero. Get your point one.
Go ahead and like this video, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you don't miss out.